Hi! Hi there, my name is Amanda and welcome to my channel. I have tried to film a video a few times in the last year and I always end up like editing them and then I let it sit and a week goes by and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna post it now, I gotta refilm a new video. And I've done it like twice literally in the last year and I just wait so much time before I actually make the decision if I'm gonna post it, and then I feel like it's too late. So this one is the real deal. I'm nervous, but that's okay. We're gonna do it. So for my first video, I thought I could do the new to booktube tag. This tag was created by Trina from Between Chapters. I originally saw it being done by Paige, the Minimalist booktuber. I will link their channels below. Question number 1 is, where are you joining us from? I live in Massachusetts in the United States. Question number 2 is, how old are you? I just turned 22 less than 2 months ago. Question number 3 is, why did you join Booktube? I feel like this is a really hard question because, like, why does anybody join Booktube? I decided to join Booktube because I've been watching it for probably like a year and a half-ish, maybe longer. And it just seems like something that's so much fun. I just love to read and I love watching movies and TV shows, and I want to be able to talk about all these things with more people and with people within this community because I want to be more involved in the community itself. I also think it's really cool making videos and getting to be creative and getting just to talk about all of these things that you love with other people who love them, you know, and people who are explicitly looking for this type of thing and looking for videos like this and looking for somebody to talk to you just like I am. So that's really mostly why I joined Booktube, and I'm really excited and I hope that it goes well and I hope you all enjoy my videos, whoever's watching. Question number 4 is, what is the meaning behind your channel name? My channel name right now is just Amanda Joy. Amanda is my first name. Joy is my middle name. It was going to be A Joy to Read because I think that sounds really cool and it's like a play on my name, but I changed it because I want to do other things like movies and TV shows and fun stuff like that, although it will mostly be books. And obviously if my channel name said books in it, I could still do those types of things. Question number 5 is, what type of books do you read / want to talk about on here? So I read a lot of different types of books. I don't have one specific genre that I read, and I would like to talk about all of them. For example, I mostly read fiction, but I also do read some nonfiction. I read YA, I read new adults, I read adult, I read all types of things. I really like fantasy. I love historical fiction. I like romance. I like romance in my like historical fiction and my fantasy. I do read contemporary sometimes, not often. It'd have to be something that really intrigued me, I think. I'm also really hoping to be able to expand that even further. You know, through this channel, I hope that I can find even more genres and more books and more things that I love, which is another reason that I started this channel. Question number 6 is, who are some of your favorite authors? So I don't really have any favorite authors. I feel like I read so many books from different authors that I don't really have a favorite. Some authors that I love are Stephen King, which I fell in love with him before I ever even picked up any of his books. In fact, I'm in the middle of reading my first Stephen King book, but I fell in love with him by watching virtually every interview he's ever given. It's just something that happened and I kind of fell in love with him as like a human. I love watching his movies, so now I've started reading his books as well. J.K. Rowling, of course, one of my all-time favorite authors. You know, I just feel like I do love all of these authors, but I read books from many different authors. Sometimes it's hard for me, like, can I say somebody's my favorite author if I've read one book from them or no books from them? AKA Stephen King. I'm sure you totally can. Question number 7 is, what is the last book that you read? So the last book that I read I actually finished last night, and that is Blackhearts by Nicole Castroman. This book I kind of got in like a weird way. My best friend lives across the country. She works at a Barnes & Noble. At her Barnes & Noble, Nicole Castroman just happened to come in and was like, hey, I'm an author. Can I sign some of my books? So she signed this book and her second book, which I also have. So Carly just kind of sent them to me because she knows that we both love reading and pirates. So when I first got it, I thought it was gonna be like this epic kind of pirate story because it's kind of like an origin story of Blackbeard. No one really knows the origin of Blackbeard, but it's kind of like a take on that. That's what I originally thought it was, and I don't usually read the synopses of books because I like to be surprised, but I feel like if I have expectations for a book, then I have to read the synopses so I'm not completely let down or anything. And I'm glad I did because it turned out to be something that I didn't think it was going to be. And I'm not saying that in a bad way because I actually really loved it. I think I rated it 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, but I'd probably give it more like 4.25, like I don't know, maybe like an A-. So it's the story of Blackbeard before he became known as Blackbeard. So it's about him, his name is Edward, and this young woman Anne that he meets that works in his house. His father is a fairly wealthy merchant, and she was a cook in the house. You know, it's about their stories separately and what they both want, but also about their relationship and how it develops. I ended up really, really loving it, even though it wasn't what I really wanted to read. However, I do expect that the second book, which is called Blacksouls, will be similar to what I expected this book to be. Probably some fighting and lots of sailing and stuff. Maybe I'll do like a review of it or a book talk type deal. I don't know, we'll see. Question number 8 is, what are you currently reading? So like I said, I just finished Blackhearts. I'm actually in the middle of 2 other books. So at the moment, I'm currently reading the following. The Shining by Stephen King. I picked this up at Goodwill for $2, so it's a mess. I'm literally like halfway through it. I started to get freaked out because at the time I was only really having time to read at night, and it would kind of freak me out a little bit, but I'm definitely gonna finish it. I'm really enjoying it. It's got me. The other book that I'm currently reading is Behind Enemy Lines, and I believe it's by Marthe Cohn. I don't want to mispronounce her first name, and I know there are different ways to say it. I don't want to pronounce it wrong, but I think it's Marthe or Marthe. But anyway, Marthe Cohn with Wendy Holden. This is a nonfiction book. It's about Marthe Cohn, who's a young Jewish woman living in France, right near the German line, before and during World War II. It's about her experience being a French Jewish spy, passing as a German woman during this time. She actually has recently won some awards for her service. It's very fascinating. I highly suggest it. Question number 9 is, what do you use for bookmarks? Typically I use bookmarks. I have quite a collection of bookmarks. I really love bookmarks, especially really fun ones, so maybe I'll make a video about that. However, sometimes I don't have a bookmark on hand. So for example, when I was reading Blackhearts, I used a hair tie as a bookmark. Even when I got around a bookmark, I just kind of continued using the hair tie. See? Question number 10 is, show us your current TBR pile. So I'm not big into the TBR thing, just because I feel like sometimes I'm not in the mood to read what I say I'm going to read. So it's very tentative TBR. It's just kind of like a want to read, right? Like a WTR. So this would be my TBR or WTR, whatever we're gonna call it. Of course, I want to finish The Shining by Stephen King and Behind Enemy Lines by Marthe Cohn. But also, I've never read The Book Thief. And I feel like I should. I'm also borrowing this book. I've been borrowing it for a while now, so I should maybe give it back. And then I also want to read Blacksouls by Nicole, which is the second book in the Blackhearts series. I don't know if it's a duology or what. I've heard it kind of ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger, but we'll see, and I'm really excited to get to it. I'm going to get to it soon for sure. Question number 11 has a few little parts, and the main question is, which do you prefer, hardback or paperback? I like having hardback because they're beautiful, but I prefer to read paperbacks. Ebooks or physical books? Again, of course I prefer the physical books, but I also do like ebooks. They're much more affordable. And while I'm like sitting at work, if my participants are doing their tasks independently, I can just open up my phone and read it, or like I can read on my Kindle, which is very convenient. Owning or borrowing books? Of course, again, I prefer to own them, but I have no problem borrowing books. I realize I kind of like weirdly navigated my way through all of those questions. Of course, I have a preference, but it's not a strong preference. Unless it's something that I really, really, really love, I don't feel like I need to own the physical hardback, you know? Question number 12 is, what book or series got you into reading? I feel like my answer is going to be the same as many others, and that would be Harry Potter. Of course. I mean, not of course, but typical. This is an illustrated edition of Sorcerer's Stone. I have a few copies of the Harry Potter series, but they're up back there on my bookshelf and they're kind of hard to get to, so I'm not going to. But yes, Harry Potter is the book that really sparked my love for reading. Growing up, my grandfather loved the Harry Potter movies, and I used to watch them with him all of the time. But at some point I wanted to know more, so I picked them up from my middle school library. I was like 11, and I dove so hard into the books, and I fell completely in love with the world and all of the characters, and it was amazing, and I just wanted more of that. And of course, Harry Potter is something that stuck with me throughout my entire life. I still reread it all of the time. I love it so much. I just did a Harry Potter trivia. I love it. Love Harry Potter. Also, another book that kind of kept the reading ball rolling, that was weird, is Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. I know, okay, but I was 12 years old. What do you want from me? An interesting story with this book, actually. It was given to me years before the movie came out by the same friend who sent me Blackhearts, so I kind of love her. But this was given to me like years before the movie came out. My friend Carly was just really, really excited about it. She gave it to me, and it sat in my basement for years. And then I saw the preview for the movie, and I remembered instantly. I was like, Twilight. I was like, that's the book with the apple in the hands. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have that. I have to read it. And I read it, and I was so consumed. Yes, it has so many problems and it's not great, but it is something that's fairly nostalgic to me. It helped get me into reading. If I reread Twilight now, I would definitely see the problems more clearly. I totally understand that it's not very well written, the story isn't fantastic, but it really helped get me into reading. Question number 13 is, how did you discover BookTube? I discovered BookTube completely by accident. I was on the Epic Reads page just searching for books. I found these tea time videos and these other videos kept popping up on the side, and I was like, what is this? Like, I'm watching tea time, I'm watching an ARC party. But one day I saw a review for Cinder by Meyer. I think it was Christine from Poland Banana Books, and I had just finished that book and I watched it and I fell in love. Question number 14 is, what challenges do you think you'll face while joining BookTube? I think one of the biggest challenges for me will probably be filming. So if you can't tell, I'm using natural light, which is kind of hard. The part of my house that allows in the most light and where my bookshelves are faces southwest-ish, so it receives the most light when the sun is setting, which is kind of hard for me because of when I work and there are a lot of people around me, which will be another thing. Another challenge that I might face is that I don't read particularly fast, so I'm not gonna have like 10 book wrap-ups at the end of the month. I wish I could do that, but I just can't. But I don't think that'll really be a problem. Hopefully I can just go with the flow and we'll see what happens. Question number 15 is, where else can we find you? I do have social media for kind of this channel, and I'll link it down below on Twitter and on Instagram. It's a joy to read, but I don't really use them. I haven't really used them because I do also have other social media that's just personal, like my own, because I had them before I even thought about joining BookTube or even knew it existed. So I'll just link my BookTube stuff down below. Feel free to follow if you'd like. I do post sometimes and maybe I'll start posting more regularly. Well, so that's the tag. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you didn't get too sick of my face or anything. I'm really excited to be joining BookTube. I'm really excited to finally actually do this, and I hope I get to have a lot of amazing conversations and develop some relationships with anybody who's watching. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Bye.